June, I want to begin by saying how honored I am to have this opportunity to interview you. I remember the old days at UU Santa Fe, and you were at the center of everything. Mm-hmm. And without your dedication, your energy, your creativity and leadership, we would not be the congregation we are today. So this gives me great pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. Before we start this video, though, I'd like to give it a warning. This video contains wrinkles and forgetfulness, so viewers should use compassion.
Well, we would like to hear with compassion the story about your life. So let's begin at the beginning. Tell us about what it was like when you were growing up.
Well, I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it was right around the time of the Depression. My dad had lost his job, and I had a little brother, and we had to go on what they called county relief. We would get food and clothing, but the dresses that they had for the little girls were all made from the same material, so if you showed up at school with one of these dresses, everyone knew that you were on county relief. So my mother would cut her dresses up and make dresses for me so nobody would know.
What religion were you raised in your early years?
Well, we were Lutherans. My husband Wayne was also a Lutheran. And we were married in the Lutheran church. We brought the children up in the Lutheran religion. For a few years, but we both started questioning we couldn't believe the things about heaven and hell and the guilt, things like that. So we decided to try different churches, and Wayne discovered the Unitarian Church. So when we were in Albuquerque, we went to the Unitarian Church there, and that was just the right church.
So what was it about that UU church that worked for you?
Well, it just helped us transition from Lutheranism.
So I recall that you have lived in many places. I remember that Wayne was in the public health service.
Right.
And you traveled around the country a lot when you were raising your family. How did you come to retire in Santa Fe?
Well, one of the places that we were stationed in was Albuquerque. And we'd come up here to go skiing and to see the zebra. And we learned to love Santa Fe. So when it came time to retire, we decided to do it in Santa Fe.
So June, you were really a central figure in the development of this congregation. I'm thinking back now to the late 70s, when you arrived and when we arrived.
Yes.
And you played so many different roles. Tell us about that.
Well, we were a little fellowship on Old Santa Fe Trail when we moved here. And I think it was the third time we attended when they asked me to be secretary of the board. So that, then I advanced to president. And at the time I was president, we decided we were too small for the fellowship house. It was just a little dining living area. And we had a piece of property that Colonel Fogelson had given us. So we sold the property, sold the old fellowship house, and bought this church, which was the Mormon church at the time.
But you were also really involved in our calling a minister, which, as I remember, started with the Minister on Loan program.
Right. Jerry Goddard was our minister on loan, but we called him already when we were still at the fellowship house. And it went so well that's why we decided we needed a minister, and we called Webb Kitchell.
Tell us about some of the other things that you did.
The thing I loved doing the most, we used to have services auctions.
Just like we do now.
Yes. But back then we would, well, we have a theme today too, but we would have different themes. One time it was Evening in Paris, so I made a great big Eiffel Tower that went back here. Another time we called it Russian into Winter, and I made that church that's in the Moscow Square with all the turrets and everything.
You have done so much to support this congregation. Tell us how the congregation has been there to support you.
They were wonderful when my son was killed, my son Kent. They were so supportive. And even took up a collection, and we made the rock garden that's out in the little courtyard right now, and we constructed it ourselves.
Your energy is extraordinary. So why are you still a member of this congregation?
Why? Oh.
What does it mean in your life?
It means so much. I mean, I couldn't imagine not being here, not coming here every Sunday, because they're like a second family to me.
How has your UU faith affected how you live your life?
It's just made my life very enjoyable, I think. You don't have the guilt feelings that you would have with a regular religion. You have this feeling of freedom. The social responsibility here is wonderful.
What important life lessons would you like to share?
I have this little saying that I like to quote. It's not what you gather, but what you scatter that tells what kind of a life you've lived.
June, you've really led an amazing life with this congregation and done so much for it. We are all grateful to you for the time and energy and creativity and dedication and leadership that you've shown.
Well,
thank you for being who you are here.
I'll tell you, it's been my pleasure. It really has been.